Yeah, I'm a fully converted Arkansan at this point, I feel like. So.
Okay. Do you wear these things?
Not usually, sometimes. But
You wear them sometimes?
A few times, maybe once or twice a month, but not too often.
We're here with Nick Foster, a supply chain management and information systems double major in the Walton College. And we're sitting here in the alumni house with lots of memorabilia about the University of Arkansas. And Nick is graduating next May, and so this is fitting. He's been here 4 years, done a lot of amazing things. He worked as a supply chain team lead in the Macmillan Innovation Studio. He's had an internship at Phillips 66 in procurement, and he's currently co-oping as a supply chain analyst co-op at Nestle. And so Nick, I want to spend a little time talking about really all of those today. Maybe start with your summer internship experience at Phillips 66. And so could you tell us a little bit about what you did there this summer and how that went?
Absolutely. So like you said, I was a procurement intern at Phillips 66 this summer. I actually worked in a refinery just south of Houston, so I was actually at site, which was a really great experience. And was also able to work a little bit in corporate, so kind of get both that field and then corporate experience as well. Got to work on a lot of really interesting projects that had actually some financial impact on the company. And I also got to learn a lot, about upstream supply chain, working with suppliers, leveraging value, things like that. Things we actually learned in the classroom, I got to go out and apply in the real world.
Yeah, so I know you told us before about how you had learned some certain concepts, frameworks, and ways of thinking and tools in your supply management course, your sourcing procurement, and you applied it. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my main projects was actually looking at a contract ownership program, which is just really understanding how to leverage spend across different categories, which is something that, when we talk about, supply management, that's always a key concept is using your volume to lower cost. So that was a really unique experience for me to go in and get to look at, the early stages of what that looks like. Because I was tasked with moving it to a completely new department where it had never been used before. So it was a really neat experience to understand the why behind what I was doing, and it really gave me some great context as I completed that project.
Was that fun? Were there any kind of unique experiences maybe that you had while you were there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just going out to the field itself was a unique experience. They asked me if I wanted to be placed in Sweeney, Texas, and my first question was, where's Sweeney, Texas at? I had no idea where it was at, but I went ahead and said yes to the opportunity. I was very, very grateful I did, because I actually got to go out and experience things in the field. So I got to put on the FRs, the fire retardant clothing, the hard hat, the gloves, and actually go out and tour the refinery, see what all the different units do, just to better my understanding of how the business runs, and then also get to do some really unique things like climbed up the coker, which is this huge structure we have in the refinery. I think we climbed up like 300 feet of ladders just straight up.
Maybe moving on to your Nestle co-op. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Right, so it's completely different. Firstly, it's downstream. So when I worked at Phillips, it was entirely upstream, working with suppliers. But here we work almost completely internally, and then also with Walmart in a downstream function. So I went from the very top of the supply chain to the very end of the supply chain. I work in customer-facing supply chain, so do a lot with the retail customers. I get to work on a lot of different accounts, like most notably Walmart, but then also Kroger and Target. Get to see how the different retailers operate from that supplier perspective, which is really, really unique. I've got to do a lot of reporting projects, looking at how we're supporting the sales team so they understand what exactly they have in inventory to make forecast and call revenue numbers. So really unique experience getting to go downstream and then also look at different industries. I mean, CPG is very, very different than energy. Obviously, there's just a lot of different differences between the two. So it's been really unique, and I think it speaks a lot about the U of A and the supplier community that I'm allowed to both go to school and then also have this great experience with this awesome company.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I imagine, given some of the experiences you've told me about, you really enjoyed working with that group. What makes it fun to go there while you're in school every day?
Yeah, so At Nestle, I mean, Nestle's one of the best CPG companies in the world, one of the best supply chain companies in the world. So I get to work with incredibly smart people, get to work with the largest food CPG on the largest retail account, which is really unique to see how that relationship works and see how we partner to bring value to Walmart, both from a supply chain perspective and also from that sales perspective as well. I've got to reach out just beyond the supply chain and kind of understand the CPG environment as a whole.
Given, all the wonderful experiences that you've had and jobs, how did you go about getting your internship and this co-op?
Right, that's a great question. So my summer internship with Phillips came from the career fair, actually came from the supply chain networking breakfast.
Fantastic.
So coming from Oklahoma, I didn't think I wanted to be in oil again, because that's where that's kind of what I'm used to back home. So I thought I wanted to break out of it and not go back that direction. But meeting the people at Phillips at their career breakfast, I was just really impressed at the quality of the people, but then also the quality of the company. I mean, Phillips is a wonderful organization that treats their employees just incredibly well. And I was super impressed by that. And then also the quality of people I would get to work with, just very, very sharp, intelligent people who really knew what they were doing. So that really excited me. And then, like I said, I got those connections through the events put on by the supply chain department, but then also career services as well.
You are going to Ernst & Young as a consultant, a staff consultant. And so congratulations, first of all. Well done. Your 4 years have launched you into what's going to be a very, very promising career. Tell us, how's that process been about going through the full-time job search and decision making?
It's been very consuming. It's a very stressful process because compared to internships, a lot of these full-time jobs will have you fly out to their company, fly out to their headquarters to interview. So it's very stressful. I've flown to New Jersey, to Seattle, to Chicago, just to interview for these jobs, and that's a lot of time commitment away from school. But it's a good process because these companies are investing a lot of time and a lot of money into making sure these programs are show what the company's about, but then also get to know you as well. So it's an intense process. But it's a rewarding process because you get to experience a lot of different companies, get to see what would be a good fit and what wouldn't be a good fit. But it's a consuming process and it's an intense process, that's for sure.
So maybe about some of your classes, what was your favorite class and why?
Yeah, I had a lot of great classes in supply chain. I really like supply chain strategy, but I would have to say that my favorite class was supply management. That was my first real supply chain class. So it was a great way to dive into it. And then also the lecturer in there was great. Don Bechtel, who worked for a very long time at Procter & Gamble and had a lot of experience actually with Sam Walton. So it was great, kind of learning from almost the master of supply chain, and that he was on some of this really cutting edge, innovative stuff that we still learn about in schools today, and have him up there and lecture and talk about his experience. At a company like P&G and also alongside with Walmart, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So thinking back, maybe you're here launching into a phenomenal career, and thinking about how you got here. What advice would you give your earlier self or some younger students?
I would say be aggressive. Be aggressive in what you commit yourself to, even if you think it might be outside your comfort zone or outside what you think you might even want to do. So my first, I would say 2 years, I wasn't particularly aggressive in putting myself out there and trying for things and going out and really pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. But I would say late sophomore year to junior year, that really changed. I became more aggressive. I joined the Macmillan Innovation Studio. I became a Walton ambassador. I just did a couple other things, studied abroad. I think things that really pushed me outside of my comfort zone and made me have more confidence in what I could do. I think that was really important for me.
That's great to hear. I have to tell you, as a teacher, as a professor, department chair, students like you who go through these experiences and have those kinds of insights and passion, that's what makes us keep coming back. And so thank you for what you've done while you're here. And again, we know you're going to do great things, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's been so interesting to hear about your story.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nick.